Good morning and welcome to my channel, The Fruitcake Astrologer, where I will give you an astrologer's take on current events and people in the news. Now, this is going to be a series of readings. I've actually been working on this for a little while. It started with a Harari, which means I can ask the cosmos a question, any question. Will there be a war in Asia? And it was a positive statement. So then I started digging deeper. And I don't want to put everything in one video. So this video will be the Harari. And the second will be a deeper dive into China, Taiwan, and the United States in the coming months, maybe to try to time it a little bit more and get some more information. So here goes the Harari. By the way, I hope if you enjoy these readings, you'll like, share, and subscribe. And you can also find me on these other social media sites. So here goes. Okay, now here in the United States, and this is the chart, here in the United States, the news is just politics. The presidential election's like a few months away, less than 2 months away, and it's politics. He said, she said, accusations, it's the COVID, but we don't really get foreign news here in the United States. We don't know what's happening in Europe or France or around the world, but I've just kind of keep an eye on news around the world. And I have noticed things heating up in Asia. And you're like, what do you mean by that? If you are a U.S. citizen, you probably don't know what's going on over there. But what really got my attention was a few months ago, the Australian Navy was meeting up with the Japan and U.S. Navy for military exercises and had a dust-up with the Chinese Navy. Now, as far as I can tell, they haven't said what happened between Australia and China, but like a few days later, the Prime Minister of Australia announced he was increasing the GDP for defense spending, even in the middle of a pandemic, significantly. And a few hours later, they got on a plane and flew to the U.S. and stood at the podium with Pompeo, and the U.S. said, yes, Australia is our ally, blah, blah, blah. So I took that to mean they really scared the Australians. Now, if you think back to World War II, the Japanese invaded Australia, and it was a really tough time for them. It looked to me like it really rattled their cage. Now, at the same time, we know about our trade war with China, but Australia's in the middle of a big Cold War trade war with China as well. And yesterday, the last 2 Australian reporters in China left, quote unquote, fearing for their safety. So things are really tense between China and Australia. Also, India. Now, I watched a news conference the other day, and one of the reporters did ask about this. This is the first time I've seen any of this making the U.S. news, but about a few months ago, 20 Indian soldiers were killed at the disputed border between India and China. And China is doing a big military buildup at the Indian border, which of course has India not liking that. Now, those 20 soldiers were beaten to death. So China says, hey, there's never been a bullet fired across the IndoChina border. But of course, India is not happy about what happened to those soldiers. The bad news is last time India and China went to war, India got soundly beaten. And if that's not enough, a couple more soldiers were killed in the last couple days at the India-China border. And China has exploration ships in Indian waters looking for oil and gas off their coast, which again enrages India. Okay, so they're really unhappy with China right now. Now, Mongolia was just a few days ago. There are uprising there is because China came in and said all the schools must now speak only Mandarin Chinese. All the students must be taught in Mandarin, and you must use our textbooks from now on. So Mongolians are revolting about that. We know about Hong Kong, all the harsh things they're pushing down on Hong Kong in violation of their treaty with them. If that's not enough, the Chinese fishing vessels are fishing in traditional Malaysian, Philippine, and Vietnam fishing waters, and they're not just fishing in their fishing grounds, they are overfishing them, which of course has those 3 countries in an uproar. But, as Duarte said, what are we going to do? We can't stand up to China. We could never beat them. Okay? So that's an overstep on their part. Now, they're building 8 military bases in the atolls over there on these disputed Parasol Islands. And last month, they did a test of amphibious landing vehicles off the coast of Taiwan, which was, basically staging a land invasion of Taiwan. And if that's not enough for you, their statement about, peacefully unifying China and Taiwan, who they consider to be their property, they removed the peacefully. Oh boy. So things are really heating up over there. The Chinese have been really building up their military. They have more naval ships than the United States now, significantly more. I think 20% more. Their Navy's 20% bigger than ours, which used to be the biggest. Seeing the U.S. rhetoric with China really, degrade. Things are really getting tense with China is doing a lot of land grabs, offending their neighbors. So it feels like things are really heating up over there. So that is the basis of this chart. Is there a war coming in Asia and China? And you're like, oh man, China wouldn't dare invade. I mean, they wouldn't dare do that. But then we remember World War II and the Nazis, they built up their military big time and everyone was like, oh, they wouldn't dare invade other countries. And they just marched across Europe, so if history is the key to the future, you got to question why in the world is China building up their military so much? So the 27 degrees of Leo rises. Now, in a Harari reading, that means it's already been decided. Now, the United States would be Leo. That's us. And the opponents, our open enemies, are the 7th house. The 7th house is ruled by Uranus. Uranus sits in the 9th house, retrograde in Taurus, literally saying that China has been hurt very badly economically. Economic reversals, probably relating to the virus with Neptune in the 7th house retrograde. So that's really hurt them with the United States. See how Neptune opposes the sun in the 1st house. And I believe President Trump said something about he's really angry with China about their handling of the COVID. Now, the 7th house rules war, as does Mars. So we need to pay special attention to them. Now, interestingly enough, Mars is stationing in this chart. Now, this happens once every year and a half, so the fact that I would be doing a war chart on the, a few hours before Mars stationed, Mars is going to station retrograde in about 12 hours from now. I didn't even realize that when I cast the chart until I looked at it. And I was like, oh my goodness. Mars is going to be moving retrograde in about 12 hours. So I think right now it's kind of that holding pattern, stationing, sitting there teetering and about to go backwards very quickly. Now, let's look at Mars. Mars is separating from square to Venus, indicating that the attempts for negotiation, Venus, of course, is making nice, grace, charm, diplomacy, has fallen through, okay? Mars squaring Saturn, frustration, really frustrated. Mars square Pluto, rage, power struggles, fury. In this chart, you notice they're separating, but Mars, like I said, is going to station and start moving back in Aries, the sign of war, toward that nasty triple conjunction, which has been causing the world so much trouble. That triple conjunction of Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn in Capricorn, the difficult sign of Capricorn, all retrograde. Oh dear. The moon's final aspect is going to be a sextile to Mars from the 10th house in the sign of Gemini. I think there will be attempts at negotiation. I think they will try really hard. That our president, moon in the 10th house of our leadership, United States leadership, will try very hard to negotiate. And that's what Trump, says he's all about. He wants, he tries to negotiate. I don't think it's going to be successful because, like I said, Mars is going to square that triple conjunction. That says to me that China will be attacking at least 3 countries. At least 3. I think Mars will go square Saturn, then square Pluto, then square Mars, okay? Square Jupiter. And I believe there will be big attempts at negotiation. And I think they will help. I think there will be an opportunity for peace, but I do think it will be rejected because Mars is retrograde. Another thing I think is indicated because Uranus, which rules the 7th house of war, and China, is disposited by Venus, and Venus is in the 12th house of assassination, in the sign of Leo, the leadership. So this says to me there will be sneak attacks, there will be assassinations of leaders, potentially female leaders. So I think when they go in, they will take out leadership. And I think one of the ways they may attempt to take over a country is by removing the leadership. I believe, was it a female leader in Taiwan was just elected in a landslide victory, which was made China very unhappy because their candidate, the one they supported, didn't do well at all. So I wonder if she's in danger. Okay, now wouldn't it be easier, instead of invading, to go in and just take out the leadership and put somebody in who's pro-China, or maybe this is all part of the invasion thing, but I think it will be a sneak attack. I think there will be assassinations involved of leadership, potentially female leaders. I think it's going to happen pretty quickly. I think that China has already decided what it's going to do. I mean, let's think if you're China. The world hates you because you sent the COVID around, and their economies are all in trouble. Trump is talking about getting a coalition together of of Australia, Japan, Korea, and all those little countries to band together in kind of a mini NATO over in Asia so they can stand up to China. And I don't know if China's wanting to let that happen. Are they going to give them time to organize against them? I don't know. Here we have the elections coming up. Would they be better off doing this in the middle of an election when things are pretty chaotic? We don't even know who our next leader is going to be, and it looks like it's going to be a very tight election. So would you be better doing it now or waiting until after the dust has settled? I'm sure the Chinese are thinking about whether to do it now or later. Better to ask forgiveness and permission, I guess. So, yes, I do think a war is brewing. I think it's already been decided. I think it will be a sneak attack. I believe there will be assassinations involved with these attacks. Oh boy, guys, batten down the hatches. It looks like our president is probably going to be reluctant to get us into World War III, knowing that if the big powers join, this could get really ugly really fast. And I think our president's going to try very hard to negotiate his way out of this. I mean, look at this big grand trine between the sun, us, the triple conjunction, and the midheaven. I think he's going to try very, very hard to try to negotiate his way out of this. I don't think it's going to be successful because Mars, planet of war, is coming back to square that stellium. And I don't think China cares what the United States says right now. So that's what it looks like to me. I think a war is brewing there and probably will break out pretty darn quickly. The United States will try to negotiate and probably have some success. I would think some success, but I don't think they'll be able to stop it. So, yikes. Anyway, I hope if you enjoy these readings, you will like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for listening.